Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. In today's video, we're going to focus on the charts to recap this past week of price action in the market. There's a lot for me to go over today, so let's get straight into it. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency, technical analysis, and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out, and make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. So before we actually get into the dates, let's just clear up a misconception about the moon cycle. So this needs to be addressed because of two themes that I'm seeing quite frequently, and it's always happening around the full moon. Number one, people are attempting to trade moon cycles without technical analysis, essentially not utilizing technical analysis and only trading the lunar phase. Number two, people are shorting the full moons and longing the new moons, and that is the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do. You long the full moon, and of course this is not financial advice, and if this needs to even be explained in the first place, then you should probably not be actively trading this market. No offense, just a necessary clear pill that needs to be handed out. 99% of market participants should just dollar cost average over time, be conservative, and use this time to actually learn the skills of trading with proper technical analysis strategies, learn how to have proper risk management protocols in place, and the most important is the patience and emotional stability to identify patterns without a bullish or bearish bias, and then the ability to take action on your trading plan when the market comes to you. So I teach all of this in my advanced trading course, which is available on my website, watersabove.com. Study that course if you're looking to become a more effective trader. Spend time with that course using a trading journal and practice with a paper trading account until your ratio of winning trades to losing trades start to balance out, and then you can play with real money. Again, not financial advice, just words of wisdom. So another important reminder is the purpose of this channel is to expose the esoteric that truly runs this market, but we also combine technical analysis as part of our overall thesis. You cannot properly trade in a market if you do not know how to identify the levels, price targets required for you to take action on the market conditions you're faced with. Proper TA needs to be done so that you can develop an effective trading plan. And when those conditions are met, you can respond with initiating a long or short trade accordingly. And this channel isn't for trading signals. It's to expose a holistic strategy that you can use as you wish. Take personal responsibility with your finances. Be a wolf amongst the bulls and bears and moon boys and cult of personality that infests this market and feeds off of people who just want cheap dopamine and want their answers handed to them without any effort or hard work coming in from the individual. That's parasitic energy, and it won't last here in the wolf pack. I know it's not popular for me to say these things, especially at the start of a video, but I could care less about the popularity. I love this community and I want us to thrive. And you can only thrive in this matrix when you become self-reliant. So if there's anything that I could unlock for you, it's to develop your skills to achieve your self-reliance. All right? But please remember, this idea of trading the lunar phases, it has been really confusing for people, even though I've shared it time and time again in every video and tried to make it as simple as possible for people. But I really think in today's video, we're going to iron out a lot, and just getting back into this idea of actually having some technical analysis to come along to have a holistic trading plan and not just blindly trading the moon. I hope that was helpful for everyone. Now let's get into some dates. Today, Friday the 13th, we've been talking about this day for a while. The day is young. There's plenty of time left for something to unfold before this weekly close for the traditional stock market later today. We have been looking at this Bitcoin RSI right here, and you can see it's getting into the 90 territory. And we haven't seen 90 RSI on a 12-hour chart since we broke out into price discovery back here in 2022, over 2 years ago. So that was when Bitcoin was breaking out into new all-time highs, getting above the 2018 bull market highs. That's something to consider because this has just been a straight line breakout for RSI. It's getting overheated on this 12-hour, and it's going to show up in today's daily close as well. It's going to move into the daily chart. We're going to be probably somewhere in the mid 80s. It's very overheated. So we'll get into that today when we get back to the technical analysis section. But I do want to talk a little bit about sentiment right now that I have this on my mind. This move that we're getting right now is a very smart tactic for the market maker to pull this off right now because it flips the sentiment a full 180 degrees. It turns it around on its face. It confuses those who were making these calls of a sub 10K Bitcoin. So like the perma bears, the analysts that were adamant about Bitcoin going to 7,000 or 8,000 or even lower targets than that, they were getting a lot of prana over on Twitter, and the market maker knows exactly what to do when belief develops around an extremely one-sided, or in this scenario, an extremely bearish scenario. So this is why the market does what it does. It just feeds off of the energy that it's getting through this algorithm. So this is a huge reason why I told people a relief rally in 2023 is expected, specifically into the month of April and May, or the April and May eclipses. And we're just getting started with this year. We're only about 2 weeks into the year, and we're already seeing just how wild this market can turn. And we can actually see downsides still into the month of February, and we'll get into that later, but I'm just letting you know, I was very adamant about a relief rally in this year, and I see Bitcoin going to 32K, maybe even into the 40K territory. So this move into 19K isn't even halfway there. And we still haven't really made it through the February full moon, which hits after the transition into the year of the rabbit. Also, I've had a lot of people asking me about that. The Year of the Rabbit decode is available over on my Patreon, patreon.com. You can see that right here. Again, this is my official Twitter account. I will be using this to share some updates, share some clear pills and words of wisdom as usual. It's at Waters Above. It's spelled a little bit weird, so just take note of that. You'll be able to find me. So getting back to the dates, let's talk about tomorrow because there's a couple of connections to be made here. One is we're connected from the 14th to the May eclipse. This will be a very, very important eclipse. The one thing that I'm seeing numerologically is the 5-5. So May being 5th month in the Gregorian system, 5th day, and that 55 ties us back to Satoshi Nakamoto. And we know this 55 is really important in cryptocurrency, especially anything that's coming back into Satoshi. We know the Satoshi gives us this 181. It's the 42nd prime number, answer of the universe. A little joke there, but something to consider. And I have a bunch of connections right now to be made. 1 second, I need to drink some water. Speed reading through all of this. So let's get into a couple more connections for January 14th because this 111 connection is huge. And we've been talking about this 111 number quite a bit in the past, but it's showing up a lot this particular year. Tomorrow's date, which we're talking about with the 14th, also connects to the upcoming solar eclipse, which is going to be on the 20th of April by 96 days. And this 96 number was a theme all throughout the Shemitah year. So remember, Rosh Hashanah was on 9/26 of 2022, and you can see that gives you 96 days left in the year. That was the end of this Shemitah. Also remember the Queen Elizabeth, died at 96 years old. The mirror of the number 96 is 69, and that is the current Bitcoin all-time high. So if you connect the first day of Rosh Hashanah of last year to this date, it is 111 days. So we have the same date connecting in both directions back with this 111 number. We know that the 111 also shows up in New York, which is the home of the stock exchange. Very important. So connecting tomorrow's date to the the first day of Rosh Hashanah gives you that 111. And now let's connect this date to this upcoming Chinese New Year. And we're going to see another quick connection here, which is 1 week and 1 day. So that'll be on the 22nd of this month, coming up in 8 days, very, very soon. That'll be the start of the year of the rabbit. So in today's video, let's just pivot straight into the charts now, because I really want to focus there after we had this recent move up in the market over the past week. And before we get into the TA, go ahead, give this video a like if you haven't already. Spread some love in the comments section. That's what we're all about. Let's get into these Bitcoin charts. I know that there's a lot to review, but let's just remember this 90 RSI that we're getting on the 12-hour chart, pretty overheated. So if we're going to be anticipating a time for a short-term pullback, now is the time, essentially as we're approaching this third quarter moon. And one quick note to make, and I'm going to make more content about this in the future, but lately, since we've gotten through that eclipse back at the end of the year, the 11/8 eclipse, November 8th, where we saw the FTX ritual, it seems that the first quarter and the third quarter are like pivot points. So we're going to be talking about those parts of the moon phase more in future videos. Just letting you know that, because January 14th is tomorrow, the third quarter moon, and that would make a lot of sense if we're going to start to see a little bit of a pullback into the weekend moving forward, since crypto does trade on the weekends. Now, let me just zoom in, get to a daily chart, and we have something very key here. So if anyone watched my last video, you know that I gave an upside condition, and the upside condition had everything to do with this red line right here. That was the prior support line, which broke right during the eclipse that I was just talking about moments ago. So it is very normal when you hold a line for, in this case, I think it was about a quarter of a year. You know, you have 140 days. That was a third of a year that we held that line. And then when we broke through it, we have yet to backtest it. So into this recent move up, we've backtested it. Now we need to see on today's daily close, are we going to close above it and start to trade on it again, kind of giving this, a recovery signal? Or is this just a fake out bull trap to try to get some people to start FOMOing in, and then just the market maker pulls us right back down into the next full moon? That is something that would not be weird at all. And one thing to reiterate really quickly, now that I have the chart pulled up, I'm going to put on the moon cycle and I'm going to turn off these drawings. And remember what I said earlier about the two main themes about the trading of the lunar cycle? I told everyone we have a 5-day window plus or minus where we typically see the microcycle lows. A microcycle is just what's within the smaller time frame. And you can see right here, the full moon was on the 6th. If you go 5 days back, you're looking at Bitcoin around 16,000. We traded around 16 into 17,000 into the full moon. And then you long the full moon. And that was pretty much perfect. I'm not really sure where people are getting confused about this idea, because we've been talking about it now for almost 2 years. The same thing goes if you were to just hold out or build a position into these lows on the new moon, etc. You could keep doing this time and time again. But what I was saying before about the first quarter moon and the third quarter moon, it's sitting perfectly at our microcycle lows since we've had this recent bigger correction on the November eclipse. And that's why I want us to start considering it. But it's a little bit complicated for right now. Let's just get into this trend line that I was talking about before and how we are trading up into it. And it's just something to keep in mind. Now, we do actually, I'm going to be turning on these moving averages. Haven't been looking at them for a while now just because of the conditions of the market. And you can see this green moving average is actually the 200 simple moving average. And this 200 simple is sitting at about 19,500. That 19,500 is within a kiss away from the top so far today. Just consider that, guys. That is really something to keep in mind. I'm going to turn on this 200 EMA as well. So with this move, if we were to get into the 200 simple moving average, touch it, and get rejected, it would just be another lower high. That's all it is. As long as Bitcoin's trading below 21,500, it's just another lower high. It's nothing to get excited about. And the fact that we're seeing this 200 exponential moving average in top with that level that I just talked about moments ago, Those are resistance levels, man. So we kind of have to be calm. The one positive thing to say here, if I turn off these drawings, you're going to see a very important cross that we talk about quite a bit. It's the 8 simple crossing above the 55. I call that the wolf cross. It's very important, but when we're in a very bearish market, I prefer to see that on like 2-day, 3-day charts. That would be a much stronger condition to be met. So we're looking at the 3-day right now, and we're seeing that we're moving into the 55 simple moving average. We've yet to actually close it, and this closure will come in on the night of the 15th of January. So we still have a little bit of time. We could see right here, the last time that we tested the 55 on the 3-day chart was back when Bitcoin was trading at $47,000, and it got rejected perfectly 4 3-day candles in a row, right on the bottom of the 55 simple moving average, and then it rolled over. So when we have this 3-day wolf cross where the 8 is above the 55, things are looking pretty good. But then when we see it in reverse where the 8 actually crosses below the 55, things can get bearish, and we could start to look at the 55 simple moving average as a new resistance. So here we are. We even back tested it back here, kind of kissed it, and lately we've actually started to trade a little bit above it, but getting above it doesn't really matter until we get the actual close. And I will even still say, as we do proper technical analysis, even if we were to get the 3-day close above this 55 simple, it doesn't mean too much until we actually start to reverse trend. So the fact that we had a lower low here and then we have a high up here at 21.3, we need to get above 21.3, and then we can start cementing this idea of a reversal. So just keep that in mind, because that's how you actually do this. Let's look at a couple of our moving averages, our exponential moving averages. Okay, so we're still in bearish posture with the 13 below the 21 below the 34, so it's really nothing to see here. On the 2-day, we're coiling up, so that's fine, but we're still into that resistance area around 19,100. Here on the daily, we're obviously looking better. Let's look at the Bollinger Bands and see if we're getting... Okay, so we've been trading above the top side Bollinger Band now going on 4 days in a row, 5 days. We got really tight on the bands, super squeezed together. I talked about that on my last Red Pill podcast. So I was telling people if we're going to see a move, it's going to happen soon, because we haven't seen the Bollinger Bands that constricted in several years. The same thing, we haven't seen the RSI hit into 90 on the 12-hour in several years. So this is kind of something to pay attention to, guys, because this is how automatic rallies start. When I was talking about this idea of a relief rally, I'm not saying that it's going to be this immediate thing, like we're just going to shoot to 30K immediately. But what I'm letting you know is this bottom energy that we got back here in 2019 is what I've been sort of anticipating that we're in the finality of right now. This follows, the selling climax follows by an automatic rally. This automatic rally is what still very few people are anticipating in the bigger channels, you know, and I know this because the fact that I talk about it the way I do and a lot of people are disagreeing with it is showing me that, you know, it is what it is. It's not as popular to see this move coming. I know it's not, because nobody anticipates it. This is one of the hardest stages of a market cycle to identify. This and black swans, which was that. So anyways, this concept of a relief rally is a really solid opportunity to de-risk. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I know we've been really getting more into the philosophy today, which I believe is very important, but from a technical perspective, we're just trading back into a key level that I shared in my last video. We're still at lower highs. We have a really overheated 12-hour RSI. I'm not really seeing anything on the 2-day, 3-day chart that's making me scream more continuation. I know that we have a new moon coming up in about a week or so, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to hit that I'll be very careful with my words. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to hit a microcycle high on the new moon, all right? We have to consider the fact that we really pumped too quick, too soon, and this energy has got a little bit of a fake out energy to me coming in soon. So let's get into ETH. ETH getting into the $1,400 territory. Look at this trend line that I shared in recent work, smashing right into it, getting rejected, pulled below the trend line on yesterday's daily close. Today we're getting a lot of resistance on it, so that's something to consider. Another thing is we're just making another lower high. So until ETH breaks above this level right here around 16,070, we cannot call these higher lows just yet. I mean, I guess people would like to, but the fact that we got these selling climax lows back here, and then we followed it with a big move in reaction to that, like a kickback, then the lower high, lower high, lower high. Right here, we're looking fine, but the fact that Bitcoin is doing what it's doing and ETH doesn't really have too much zest behind it is a big sign to me that we're in the stage of Bitcoin's dominance rebalancing. And this is another thing I've talked about in my recent work, how I anticipate in the at least first quarter of 2023 into March, April, Bitcoin dominance to get back into 44 to 45% or even more. So the real low cap altcoins are going to get smashed. So at this time, we can definitely see pullback returns down to 12,800 for ETH. That would be a very solid level to anticipate if we're going to continue to get rejected here. Let's look at the moving averages. Okay, there you go. So we have the 200 simple moving average. We did get above it on yesterday's close. That's a good sign, but the fact that we're seeing this crossover here with the 200 symbol below the 200 exponential, until we get those to get back into a bullish configuration, I'm not really throwing any parties. So we haven't even gotten a wolf cross on the 2-day yet, and we haven't gotten it on the 3-day, and I would prefer it on the 3-day. So that means the 8 symbol crossing above the 55 on the 3-day would look really good, plus trend reversal signs or trading above 1630. So really what I'm trying to do is instill a little bit more confidence in people that this is not necessarily a time to be calling for a full-fledged reversal, bullish reversal. We're still just making lower highs. We're still in a downtrend. Let's look at XRP. Okay, XRP doing what it always does, which is gravitating back to this white trend line. This thing has been in play since April of 2021, and we're just doing what we keep doing, getting right back into it. Now, we do hyperextend above it. We do slightly get below it. Doesn't really matter, but we knew that we had a lot to consider here around 37 cents. We reached that target after having this really odd liquidity shakeout on the 2nd of January. I'm not entirely sure what whale caused that, but this is across multiple exchanges. So this was done. We got a little bit of a pull of a buyback here. We do have a little bit of a W structure going, but I wouldn't want to call that on this particular asset on XRP. XRP Ws aren't as clean, and XRP Ms aren't as clean either. And in my advanced trading course, we talk about trading M patterns and W patterns and how to really identify so that when you are creating your trading plan, you could do it safely. Instead of just going with the pattern, we talk about all the strategies to combine together so that you could confidently trade that setup. Now, where we're getting to here does look like a typical descending resistance line of sorts. Let me just show you kind of what I'm talking about. Just something like this. We're seeing rejections here, rejection there, and then multiple rejections there. Really not too much to say on this asset at this time. We're kind of just following the Bitcoin and Ethereum play. Let's look at the 3-day and some of our moving averages and see what's up there, since we gave that opportunity to ETH and Bitcoin. Nothing to say here. The 8 is below the 55. The 55 sitting around 39 into 40 cents. So until we recover over that and get the wolf cross of the 8 above the 55, I wouldn't be throwing any parties. Still just lower highs. 200s are still sloping to the downside. Okay, so we've gotten above the 55, but we could see that 200 simple moving average sitting around 38 cents. So we would like to get over that, followed by a wolf cross with the 8 above the 55, and then eventually a 200 crossing the 200 exponential, getting them back with the dark green above the light green. Like we this is one of those structures that, when we get it, when we're in a perpetual downtrend, it's not looking so good, but then on recovery, it starts to make a lot more sense. So I don't want to confuse people too much with what I just said. Let's just wait and see how this next weekend completes itself with the traditional market closed. We know that these Bitcoin and ETH's RSI is definitely looking overheated in the short term. I just wanted to make this video because I think it was important to talk more about the trading philosophy, talk more about the moon cycles, how to do this and be much more sophisticated with your trading plans. But I'm going to leave it at that because there's really not too much more to say about XRP. Until we start to solidify daily closes above 41 cents, we're just still kind of trapped in that sideways range. And the same thing goes with conditions at 33 cents. If we were to close dailies below 33 into the 32-cent range, then I would be anticipating more downside into 30, and then, even as low as 29. So let's wait and see how this all shakes out. In the meantime, no matter what chart we're really looking at, we're just range bound. All right. So please let this experience of the last couple weeks be a teacher. Let it be a training opportunity for you so that you can make much better and much more thorough, sophisticated investment decisions. But please, at this time, focus more on dollar cost averaging. After I've collected everyone's feedback over the past week or so, I could tell that a lot of people were just blindly following stuff. They weren't really actually fully watching my videos, looking at the conditions, determining when we would hit those conditions, how the market would react. I could just tell that they weren't paying attention to that. So when you watch my videos, take notes, really, and then apply it to what you're seeing unfold in the charts. It's going to be much better for you to dial in your skills. So I appreciate every single one of you, wishing you a beautiful rest of your day in the matrix. As I said, I have that year of the rabbit decoded out, and we're just 1 week away from the Chinese New Year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the market unfolds when we get there. Appreciate every single one of you. Much love.